Let's pull this story up here. We got from the LA Times. In, I don't know, what would you call this? Irony?
A total irony.
LA Times writes, Californians and other Americans are flooding Mexico City. Some locals want them to go home.
Many such cases.
Amazing.
Sure.
Fernando Bustos Gorazpi was sitting with friends in a cafe when he realized that once again they were outnumbered. We're the only brown people, said Bustos, a 38-year-old writer. We're the only people speaking Spanish except the waiters.
It's the great replacement.
Oh
Yeah, it's a great replacement. That's what I thought was the funniest line. We're the only people speaking Spanish here. We feel cut out of our own. Huh.
The influx,
weird,
which
right?
accelerated
So you
since
don't like
the start
to
of
taste your own
COVID.
medicine.
It's not, yeah.
Well, but it's not Mexico. It's people coming from Guatemala, Honduras. They're coming from
Yeah.
South
It's
America.
Mexican.
They're coming from Africa.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's more than just Mexicans coming across the southern border, but this highlights the point. Oh, so you don't like it. Okay.
No,
Well,
but
I
most
really
don't,
don't know, but
and most are against people coming to America too. Like Mexicans, they typically are really against illegal immigration.
Yeah, they were really angry that the Central Americans were coming up through Mexico.
Right.
So what we're really seeing is that what I think you'll see from this is that people who love their countries, who work hard and support their nation, regardless of their cultural background, their ethnic background, don't like it when other people come to where they are and disrupt their way of life. And Americans were doing this because of COVID. People were leaving the United States because of the lockdowns and the restrictions, and Mexico was freer.
Yeah.
And so now they're coming here, they're bringing their problems with them. I see it as ironic in that it's the Americans leaving. I see it as perfectly predictable that citizens of Mexico City would be upset that other people from a different country are coming into their country and changing their way of life.
Nationalism isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things, even if you're talking about globalism, you need to have sovereign national borders.
Yes.
Because people need to be able to set their own laws based on their cultures and their ways of life. Right. If there are people who want a one world government, right? It will never happen if borders are dissolved, because people will be fighting with each other endlessly.
It's the same as in nationalism. You need statehood, because you can't have a national police force on every street corner. You got to have local laws, just like in a global force. You need national local.
People who understand the local community problems, how to solve them. You can't solve them from far away.
What a shocking concept.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, even thinking about this is kind of funny. You know, we don't have borders between states in the way that countries do. And so what happens when someone from Michigan looking for work goes to New York? People keep flooding to the cities because cities have jobs and their areas don't. That hurts everyone involved. So if you had actually borders which were more difficult to cross over, when Michigan's economy started breaking because the auto industry was leaving, you wouldn't have the mass exodus, which means the economy may have gotten hurt, but could have recovered much more quickly with more people requiring services and working for each other. Instead, families left in insane numbers, and then the economy just buckles and collapses because there's no one left to support to support the state.
So this idea of like multinationalism, I guess that would be like multi-statism. I don't know. Like multinationalism would be like when a corporation has their headquarters in the United States, but all their production or a bunch of production is overseas, out of the United States. So like maybe you live in Michigan, but you work in Minnesota or something like that. It's legal and it's totally fine and acceptable. But when you see multinationalism, like that's pretty destructive. They don't have any allegiance to the United States, even though they're raking in all the benefits of tax law.
This has always been this was one of my frustrations with the 2017 tax bill, that I thought it favored the corporations too much over the small businesses, because these corporations were not America first. They have no inherent loyalty to this country.
Exactly.
They're trying to get the best tax rate they can get and take advantage of the tax system. But there's no inherent loyalty, and we should have. I made this complaint to the White House. We should have had more favorable terms for the small businesses, because half the workforce is small business.
Well, what do you think about the idea of like a global minimum tax for corporations? Like there's international treaties where it's like the idea, I guess, is that a company in the United States will be like, we're going to move our headquarters to this country where it's cheaper.
To get a tax break.
Right. So the idea is if all these countries agree to a treaty, it'll stop the corporations from moving, and it'll stop
moving and getting.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've given a ton of thought to it. I don't think I'm opposed to it in principle, but
I think right. I haven't given enough thought to it. I'm sure someone's going to point out in the chat like, here's a ridiculous problem that will arise from there.
Probably.
But there is an issue that corporations move their headquarters wherever they can to save their tax money. So they're basically ripping us off.
Yeah, that was my.
Not that I'm a big fan of taxes across the board, to be honest.
No, of course.
Yeah.
No. I think that's something that we could have a conversation about across the board, including property taxes, which I find deeply offensive.
Let's read some more of this LA Times story because I do think it's kind of funny. They say at Lardo, a Mediterranean restaurant where on any given night 3/4 of the tables are filled with foreigners, a Mexican man in a well-cut suit recently took a seat at the bar, gazed at the English language menu before him, and he sighed as he handed it back. A menu in Spanish, please.
Huh.
This is just, how is this real life?
I don't know if the LA Times, I'm not sure they fully comprehended what they were writing.
Yeah, I vibe with this so hard. I grew up in Surrey, BC. If anyone knows, like the area that I grew up in is like 70% immigrant now. It's pretty wild. And you go to some places and it's like I literally can't order food here because no one speaks English.
It's just like,
but if I say that, I'm a racist. If LA Times writes about someone who's brown having the exact same experience as me, because we're all human and we all enjoy being able to speak with other humans around us and being able to read our menu, suddenly it's not racist when someone else has the exact same internal experience. Wild.
Go to any country, and I assure you, say you're in Turkey, and you hear someone speaking a North American, you hear them speaking English. Right. It doesn't matter what their accent or dialect is. They're speaking English. I assure you, you are going to see someone else be like, "Hey, you speak English? Where are you from?"
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I was in Turkey, and I was in this tower on I think it's on the Great Horn or whatever it's called. It's like an old watchtower. And it's a tourist attraction. I went up there and everyone's speaking foreign languages. And then I hear two people speaking with a North American dialect. And then I was like, "Hey, are you Americans?" And they're like, "No, Canadians." And I was like, "Good enough. What's going on? What are you doing?" Like, "Hey, someone I can talk to." And then we talked and it was fun. That was it. End of story. It was like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" It was...
It's wild.
Easy.
It's wild to me that, like the left always talk about getting mad about the Great Replacement in like a racial context, right? But it's like, you guys don't even acknowledge how damaging it is to have so many people come in who just don't speak the same language. Like, language is the only way we can connect as human beings, do business, educate each other, love each other.
Have
like,
common values.
How you guys won't even acknowledge the importance of that?
Imagine you went to criminal court, charged the crime, and no one was speaking. Everyone was speaking a different language and struggling to communicate.
That's what happened to Amanda Knox. She was actually released from Italian prison, but her thing was that they didn't it was like the language barrier was so harsh that they just threw the book at her and was like, "She's a foreigner."
They're doing it now with Brittany Griner. So apparently the story was she doesn't speak Russian and her lawyer was barely translating what was going on and she had no idea what was happening.
So Amanda Knox kept repeating herself, saying the same thing because that's all she knew how to say, and the Italians took that as she's definitely guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dangerous language barrier. I'm a huge advocate of bringing, it doesn't have to be English, but a common language to Earth. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. I think the internet
Sorry,
is...
we
I think it's
messed
English.
that up already with,
in
what was
2003?
that? Tower of Babel, yeah.
Tower of Babel.
we had that opportunity.
It happened like a couple
The
thousand
problem with
years
that is
ago.
they put it all in one place. So when the tower got blown up, it was lost. But like if it was diasporate and like everywhere, stored in orbit, underground, in everyone's bedroom, like everyone's got their data, maybe there's some value to it. But the problem is if you lose other language, because other language gives you reference that you don't get in English. Like the word like groomer. Like it has an English definition, but when you talk about what that means, like groom a dog in other languages, it takes on other connotations, and you need that external reference to get a fuller picture.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
there obviously anyone who's ever tried to teach someone another language knows we say things that seemingly make no sense.
idioms, yeah.
What's up? Like, what does that even mean? You're asking someone, what are you currently doing and what's happening in your life?
Right.
That's like, it's such a sup. So if someone is trying to learn English and you tell them what's up, they'll look at the ceiling. They'll go, the lights? They don't understand that context in cultural language. So it's like, you got to learn that stuff too. There's so much in language that people don't understand is relevant or requires personal experience of the thing.
Yeah.
Especially feelings.
Yeah.
There are many languages that have words for feelings that are really hard to explain to an English speaker because they've not experienced it without that, understanding.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And we've simplified a lot of things. Like obviously the word love, that's just love. We just use it for everything. Sexual love, familial love. We just throw it in one word. But then you have the Greek version, which has like 12 or something.
Agape.
Yeah.
8.
Philautia is
Right.
self-love. There's
Agape.
love
Yeah.
of the community.
Yeah.
Ian brings it up
Brother-
all the time.
brotherly
I'm
love.
obsessed with it, and that's because
Philadelphia.
You get that "love is love" statement, that ridiculous statement in the pedophile or whatever community, the minor attracted person community, and it's like, no, erotic love, eros, is a specific kind of love. It's not familial.
Did you just call it the minor attracted community?
You know
I
what's-
hate that so
yeah,
much.
minor MAP.
I hate
I just
that
noticed
so
there's
much.
there's the medical psychedelic practices, the MAPS thing, and then there's the MAP, minor attracted person. Have you seen that? MAP is like the MAPS is like a psychedelic studies program. I'm going to pull it up.
Well, let's
I've missed
I'm
all
good
of
on
it.
that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I missed it all.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.